Okay, good morning. Yeah, happy to be here. It was a dream of mine one day to be at the stage of a festival. When they asked me, they say, "Yeah, there is an event, MadFest. It's very fun." And I said, "Yeah, let's try it." So yeah, happy to be here. I don't have any musical skills, so I hope you will enjoy my performance here. So yeah. But first, a bit of introduction about myself. So I'm Nicolas. I'm leading the digital marketing team at TUI. We have an in-house team of specialists, ranging all channels, almost all channels: paid search, display, video, some audio as well, affiliates. I think any channel that drives some outcomes, business outcomes, we manage that from A to Z. So from strategy until just the outcomes and the optimization, basically. I assume most of you know TUI. I've put some facts and figures on here. One of the main differences that we have as a company over other travel companies is that we are somewhat vertically integrated. So we have our own hotels, airlines, cruises, and so on. So for a lot of customers, the full customer journey we have in our hands, basically, which helps us. So there's some facts and figures here. We're not on the London Stock Exchange anymore. We delisted. It's now fully on the Frankfurt one. Yes, TUI. I think when you think about it, most people probably will know us from their big vacation once a year, sun and beach holiday. But when we tend to say, or used to say, think travel, think TUI. So whenever you think about a holiday, going on holiday, we try to have an offering for you. And if we don't have it, we're probably developing some products there. So think about sun and beach, but also city trips, ski holidays, just domestic travel, whatever you can think of, we have that in our offering. Some exclusive package holidays as well. In Belgium, we have it in our offering. But I think enough about travel, dreaming. I think it's last minute season. A lot of you maybe have done some travel already or planning to go on a nice holiday. But let's dive into the topic of today, unlocking media effectiveness, and also why is it important? Because sometimes when I'm talking about it, people say, okay, nice, media effectiveness, it's a lot of hard work. Maybe you should spend your time working on other things, right? Maybe think about your big creative campaign and put a lot of effort into that, make sure that your content goes viral, that people remember it. And I do agree, I think it's super important. But I think it works together, and I think you will agree as well. And in the end, and I think it's also there where you will be making the difference. When the introduction was done, thinking about competitive advantage, right? I believe that there's two areas where we can really make the difference. It's on creative, that madman, that big idea, basically, but also on that math man, right? Thinking about the data, measurement of the media effectiveness, leveraging your business data, your first-party data, I think is at the end where you make the difference. Especially thinking about where the ecosystem is going towards, and more of that easy-to-buy media, I would call it. Think about Google launching PMax, Facebook launching its advanced shopping campaigns, and even broadcasters I've seen going into that direction as saying a total video offering, and they will then deliver and optimize the campaign for best performance. So I think when going in more and more into that direction, that's where you can make the difference. And that's also what, and I've stolen this from Google basically, is where they think the future is going, right? When you think about yesterday, a lot of campaign optimization was done, optimizing budgets, bids, especially in biddable digital media. But it's moving more and more towards that measurement, right? That's where you get that insights and make the difference with your competitors, your marketing strategy, just in general, right? So just to make the point, measurement is effective, is important, sorry, but same for creative. Media effectiveness. So in the end, when you think about it, what is it all about? I think as a concept, it's basically this, right? You think about the audience that you're exposing. There's 4 types of people. There's people that would never buy anyway. They have no interest at all. They're very far away from your brand. Then there's people, unfortunately, that are not buying because of your ads. That's very unfortunate, but it does happen. People sometimes get a bit irritated, or the message that turns them off, basically. And then, fortunately, there's people buying as well, right? And there's two groups, people that would buy anyways, and people that would buy because of your ads, fortunately, right? And what we hope is to get, okay, in the end, what you try to do is to expand this group as much as possible. I think that makes sense. It's common sense, it's logic. However, I think when you go into your Google Ads interface, your Facebook, or any other platform you work on, usually they talk about the full group of people that always buy, right? And that's a bit of risk with this. If you try to optimize too much towards this group, potentially you're missing out on value and growing your brand, right? So I think that from a media effectiveness is the concept that you try to know and understand where to reach these people and how to reach these people. We're in the attention stage, so I think how can you grow that audience? There's one key thing, and it's that attention. It's a bit of that creative, but also making sure that you reach them in the right place, right? The relevant place, and also the right audience, so that are giving you attention. I think that is really one of the key ways to do that, but there's some risk there. There's some things you should be very careful about. There's some, when you just look at media metrics, right? When you think about attention as being, has my video been watched 100%? Has it been audible? Has it been in view for a very long time, right? Those type of media metrics, if you optimize too much towards those, it's a risk, right? And it's very hard, very difficult to really assess that. And I think there will be some speakers later on the stage who will give you some good examples and some solutions probably to understand that complexity. However, how we approach this is thinking about, okay, let's try to look at it more of a holistical perspective and think about media effectiveness as a framework. And we have are using a media effectiveness framework, looking at multiple sources of data to help us understand what is driving that impact and what is moving the needle eventually, right? We consider this as different layers, different tools working together. I assume some people have seen it before. I think also Google has been communicating on it recently with their media effectiveness measurement framework. Facebook has done the same. So you see the market is moving into that direction as using different tools, somewhat of a triangulation method to find like where is the value being delivered. I'll start with the bottom one. Maybe before going into that, I think those top three are for measuring like their direct response, but I think brand outcomes are super important to measure as well. And I wanted to put it on here because it's really important. There's some potential things you could use you're not yet using, right? I think brand trackers potentially everyone is using. Recently, or a couple of, I think the last 3 years maybe already, Peter Field and Lesbinet have been talking about share of search. I think it's really powerful, and you should, if you're not yet using it, I would definitely recommend looking into that. Getting an understanding of how much of the people are searching for my brand in Google, and how does that relate to the competition eventually, right? But going towards that performance, more of that direct response measurement, I think there's 3 layers, and I'll start from the bottom, attribution. I think we have all been using that for the last forever, I think different ways. It has changed a lot. There's been last click, a lot of last click attribution models. Then there's been more and more adoption into multi-touch. However, I think especially when the deprecation of the cookie now coming very close, already being in process for a while, privacy regulations challenging that. The importance of attribution has become less, but I think it's still super important, especially when you think about just any biddable type of media. It's key to have it in your toolbox, right? You should still work on it and make sure that it's there, even with the downside of it becoming a bit less powerful. Moving a bit up there, media mix modeling. What is old is new again, right? It has been expanding a lot. I will not go into that too much. I think there will be probably a lot of other speakers going and talking about that. But I think it's a bit slower. It's more high level as well. It gives a bit less detail, but it's super powerful because it brings in, and I think you probably all know, it brings in also offline and not attributable type of media. And then moving to the top, and I think that's one of the most powerful ones, is looking into incrementality studies. Randomized control tests, basically. Some people do it with geo experiments, exposing some geographics and have others in a control group. Other methodologies are based on audience, but I'll dive into that a bit later. I'm going to zoom in a bit on attribution modeling and how we've approached it, and on incrementality testing later. I think it's quite obvious that attribution modeling, or a customer journey for a travel company is quite long. There's many touch points for a lot of brands, but especially for a travel holidays, very complex. That means that it's very hard to assess what is the value of those touch points. I think that makes sense. And at the same time, like I mentioned at the beginning already, big tech is going autopilot, right? You have those solutions like PMax, Facebook, and other providers out there that are delivering conversions, but yeah, what type of conversions, right? Is it just they have their view on it, and I think it's powerful to get your own view on it, and I think that's how you can make the difference, is by setting your own objective and not just relying on that of the big tech players or your partners, but looking for your own value and giving that back. I think it works perfectly fine using the out-of-the-box solutions, but thinking about the beginning, right, getting that competitive advantage, I think you can really do that by having a very good understanding of a customer journey where value has been delivered, and having that as a feedback loop towards the systems. So how have we done that? I mentioned attribution modeling. It's under pressure, but still, there's value to be gained. And we worked with a model called Markov. We did that in Belgium. Other TUI markets do it a bit differently, but it's in essence, it's a bit the same concept. So what does it do? It looks at different customer journeys, and then runs a statistical model on top of it to understand, okay, what's the transitioning from one touch point to another? And from that, you get like a calculation, okay, what's the value that each touch point gets eventually, right? So it helps you in understanding not just that very lower funnel interaction, but it helps you move up a bit more up in the funnel, mid-funnel almost, to start bidding and optimizing towards that. I think what we're really happy here with is that it's based on first-party data. We're leveraging our own customer data, our own tracking, our touch points to model out, right? So that leaves a bit of let's say that downside from that cookie deprecation there. At the same time, we need to be honest, there are some gaps. First-party data, tracking impressions, it's hard. Cross-device, it's hard, right? So it's a very small segment of people we really are comfortable with understanding. So this is a bit the concept. However, in reality, it's this, right? So you can imagine, statistics is essential. I say statistics now, a lot of people would call it AI, but it's essentially a statistical model helping us understanding what's happening there. I'll not go into detail on how we've set it up, but just as a concept, I think about collecting your data, bringing it together, modeling it, and then linking it to whatever platform you want, right? One of the strengths that we have this first two buckets, and we have ownership on those, that we're super flexible with connecting it to whatever relevant partner that we think can work with this data, and that we also trust with this data, right? So a lot of hard work, you might think, and where does that competitive edge come then, right? I think there's a couple of areas. It's making the team more effective, making it more productive, because we can leverage on that automation and the speed and activation, getting that bidding accuracy in place as well, right? Because those algorithms help us in finding those relevant users, and less waste in media, because we're able to target that relevant people and have the tools and solutions in doing so. And I already mentioned also it helps us getting a bit more upper in the funnel, which usually is more incremental, we've seen. So like I said, by connecting and modeling the data, we're able to find the right destination, basically, by the plane. I'm going a bit over time here, so if that's fine. Yeah, all good, thumbs up, check. That's one. If you're still ready, I'm going to quickly introduce you our randomized control experiment setup. Zoom in, okay, again, reflecting, this is what we try to do, find those people that are, that we want to, that are only buying because they're seeing our ads. I think most of you know the concept, but just as a reminder, exposed versus non-exposed is two audiences, and then you compare those two audiences and see what is the incremental value that you get, right, basically. And I think it's super helpful and helps you in validating your strategies. But I think what is more important, I think, is validation is good, but learning is even more important. And I think that's why we have found our competitive edge, basically, is saying, okay, let's not just validate, but also learn. And then you need to start, I would recommend to start running multi sell test multiple like different bidding strategies, different audiences, different creatives. I would recommend using video there. Usually there's high impact, but also over time, right? Multiple times a year, seasonalities. So this is really key to get that knowledge in, get that competitive edge over your competition, essentially. You might say this is still a bit vague, so I put in a quick example just to make it a little bit more tangible how we've done it at some point. This is an example. I've not put any numbers here, but this is like the spend axis, and this is the incremental revenue. You see two channels. And I think you can see, so the decisions that we took from it, I think maybe you can already start reasoning, that we see high value there and low value here. So we optimize towards the low value, towards the high incremental, so we could reallocate our budgets. And at the same time, right, we could see that we could save some money here because it was not that incremental, so we could easily put it into the other channel, right, which helped us be more effective. Last slide is that I said there's three approaches working together. I'll let you take a photo of it and see if we might take something out of it. I think that's some options how it comes together and how you reinforce and make it stronger. With in the end, as an objective, is to deliver and find and grow that audience that wouldn't have bought otherwise with you, right? Thank you, and I appreciate your time for listening.